What's up, C Squad?
It's Nigel C.
And Daddy C.
I'm Danny's son.
Kick Talk.
And today we're kick talking about
a topic I just wanted to talk about, man. And that topic is, do the younger sneakerheads care about sneaker history or just sneaker hype? It's a conversation. This is a question that's been going on. Conversations been going on Twitter and things. And I really want to just kind of get into it today. Get your take on it too, man. So before we get into that topic, though, if it's your first time here, Nigel, what should they do?
you need to ring that notification bell because you know we got the heat. You know you want it first, earliest. So ring it and you go get it.
There you go. Get the heat. Thanks for hanging out, and if you've been here before, thanks for coming back. We appreciate all the support, getting us up over that 3K hump. Yeah. Now we just up 5K, 10K, sky's the limit. Let's go. All right, so now let's get into this conversation. All right. So sneaker history, right? I've seen more in the last probably 6 months or so, right? We've seen the Air Jordan 1 Chicago reimagined. We've seen the Air Jordan 3 reimagined, like white cement. And those are like a fresh take on a classic OG Michael Jordan shoe, right? I mean, at the core, they are the OG. I mean, of course, remixed a little bit. But I've also seen, so many collabs, and you got Travis Scott, you got all these things that get so much attention from like the younger sneaker culture crowd, the resale crowd, the resellers out here that mostly, on that younger end of the spectrum. Yeah. There's so much attention and hype over that stuff. And then the OG stuff is not as hype. I mean, of course, Lost and Founds were hype there, but like you figure the Chicago 2s, or if it was just a regular white cement 3 or a white cement 4, like for me, and I feel like the old grandpa, growing up with Michael Jordan, seeing all these shoes, and they came out for the first time, watching them play in the game, and then the next month, they're in my Foot Locker, the sneaker store, go buy them, the shoes he was just wearing. They have an emotional connection for me, right? I can remember when they came out, where I was, what I was doing, and seeing them on TV, all that stuff. Now, for you and your generation, you don't grow up. Like, you've grown up, LeBron James has been on the TV screen for years. Yeah. There was Kobe, RIP. Yeah. But not Michael Jordan. And you've seen clips, but you didn't see him playing live. So is that less of a connection to like some of these OG pairs?
I think so. Yeah. I think it's less of a connection to the OG pairs. And like even now, like you really don't see kids like getting LeBrons from like seeing LeBron play like on TV. They're not like, yo, LeBron got those shoes on, let me go cop those. Like that's different. Not such a heavy thing like it was, like you saying it was back in the day.
Yeah, I guess you're right. And I'm guessing too, it's probably a lot to do with like social media. It's so many more outlets.
You're right.
Because compared to like in the 80s and 90s, we had literally the TV.
And that was it. Y'all see that on the TV, so you like, I want the one. Yeah.
Right, like the playoff 13s, that's a good example. That's a pair, I remember seeing Michael Jordan playing those in the playoffs, and those were like a dope pair. Everybody wanted them, everybody got them when they first came out because he just had them on, right? But I see him come back this time, and those pairs sitting in stores, people like, I passed on those. But then you get, there's another collab that drops or something happens, and everybody goes crazy for him, and it really doesn't have any tie to Michael Jordan. So it's just a topic, man. I'm just curious. I feel like, the youth and the younger crowd prefers the colorway, right? And how I can put it on with a fit, and of course comfort, to a degree. But it's way less about some type of emotional connection or history of the shoe itself. For some, and of course it's not all. I'm not going to generalize and say everybody is like that. But I think for a broad spectrum of that group, that's kind of how it is.
And I think you're right too. I think like generally that's how it is. But then there's always gonna be groups where it's like the shoes that they wear always like are tied to like stuff that they're doing, so it's important to them. Like if you're skateboarding, then like the shoes you wear are probably gonna have like some kind of skateboarding history. You might cop some DCs, which like DC somebody shoes wore, like if you saw them in a clip or something. But like there's other areas where it's just like people just wearing shoes and it's not like an emotional connection like you said.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
Okay. I'm just curious. What do y'all think out there? Is that something for you? Or the history come into play with, your influence into maybe wanting a shoe, buying a shoe?
I think the industry's changed to where it's like that still exists. What you're saying with like the emotional connection and stuff, but it's not like Jordans and like sneakers like that anymore. It's like a more broader area of shoes. I don't know.
Okay.
I do think that it's kind of the same thing that you had back in the day, but now instead of like being like athletes wearing it in their games, it's like music. It's definitely like big in like art,
celebrity
like, the music industry. Yeah, like celebrities wearing stuff like Travis Scott, obviously. Like if he's wearing, you know, he wears his Cactus Jack shoes, and people want those. Or what's another celebrity that wears like a shoe?
I mean, Drake's had some things, right? He's had some shoes.
Or Cardi. He wore like some Red Ones in a concert, like back when he was like, he wore, not a concert. Cardi was like on a runway.
Just out somewhere?
No, it was like, it was like a model.
Oh,
like
okay, okay.
Like a fashion show.
Playboy Cardi, if you don't know.
And he had on the Red Ones. And I think like people like started getting more Red Ones after that. Or like artists wearing brands like Supreme and stuff. Like those get like mega popular after that.
Right.
So I think it shifted outside of just, you know,
the sport.
Athletes wearing their shoes in the games.
Yeah, that's another conversation I had with some
But then it's like the shoes used to be in the games, but now those shoes are everywhere.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's kind of still in the same line where it's like, you know, the shoes being worn in the game, they're not really worn outside of the games that much, unless it's like, you know, all right, let me make this so it makes sense. So back in the 80s, the athletes are wearing their shoes in games. And y'all see the games and y'all want to wear those. But now it's like those shoes,
the retros, they're not wearing those in games anymore.
Right, yeah. But now it's like, it's not the games anymore, right?
Right.
So now it's like people wearing those shoes outside of games, and it's like artists are wearing those shoes, or it's like whoever celebrities are wearing them, and that's what people are influenced by.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I get that. And it's, you know, for us, for me back in the day and my generation, we were influenced by like Run DMC and Shell Toe Adidas, right? Like they were the first, you know, celebrity, non-athlete to do something with a shoe. I mean, it was nothing you playing ball in, but it was like a fashion thing to wear your Shell Toe Adidas, and they were huge. They took over like everything.
That was the start.
Yeah. Those, the old school suede Pumas, you know, that was like the break dancers and people
B-boys.
Yeah, the B-boys. Exactly. What you know about B-boys?
I wrote a whole paper on this. It's my history.
It's good. I love it. So, yeah, man, that's all good points. Yeah, so I have that question because for me, like, I feel like, you know, like an OG sneakerhead, you know, you call yourself a purist, right? Like, you have those ties and you've had that experience and you've seen the growth of sneakers over the years.
Right.
So, for me, you know, you know, people like me will look at the new school like, y'all don't even know, you know how we do. You're old, right? Like, you don't even know how it was in my day. But for you guys, the evolution of sneakers and sneaker culture has changed, and you know we want things to change and evolve for the better. So I can't be mad at it. I just want to see younger sneakerheads have an appreciation for the history. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that y'all don't, but you know, it's like if somebody's bringing you like, oh, check this out, right? These white cement threes. Let me show you what MJ did with these back in the slam dunk contest back in 1988. You know,
right? Because it's like nobody knowing that no more.
Right. So
that is like you were there.
Yeah.
So we weren't really there. So the history isn't really like we don't need to be as concerned about it because we didn't live through that history.
Right.
It's probably gonna be some history that we got in the future
something else.
From something happening right now. You know.
That's a good point. Good point. What y'all think out there? Y'all history over hype? No. Yeah.
A lot of people that are like interested in fashion these days, like I feel like fashion is like kind of growing in our generation right now. It is a lot of people that are like interested in like the history of the fashion, but it's not sneaker fashion anymore. Now it's like people wanted to know about like the history of like Japanese brands, like Italian brands and stuff like that. It's like evolution.
Yeah, a lot of appreciation for history and retro and some form of fashion,
right?
Wherever it's coming from,
right?
And that's fine. I mean, it's fashion takes its inspiration from all different eras and genres and all that kind of thing. And I guess sneaker culture is the same way, not much different. It's the same people, so that's it, man.
It all evolves, and we just witnessing the evolution of everything. So
that's it. It all evolves.
Exactly.
All evolves. Tell us what y'all think down in the comments. How you feel about history over hype? Where do you fall? And thanks for just checking in for this conversation. Just I wanted to have with my boy OG versus New School. We'll see you on the next one. Hit us up. Peace.